In this video, I'm going to talk about how to reduce your taxes by saving into the 401k retirement plan at work. Putting money into the 401k, exactly how it'll affect your taxes. But before we do that, if this is your first time at our channel or you haven't subscribed, click on the subscribe button at the bottom. My name is Travis Sickle, Certified Financial Planner with Sickle Hunter Financial Advisors. So the first thing that we're gonna go through is I'm gonna show you the tax brackets and I'm gonna show you what it looks like when we're saving into the 401k so we could do the math. Now, you don't have to do this math when you're contributing to the 401k, but it's a good idea just to get an understanding of how it all works so you know what it looks like when you put money into the 401k and kind of how it'll affect your paycheck. And then I'm gonna show you some super simple ways to do it much quicker to get the answers that you're looking for. But we should start with the math so you can really get a good understanding of this. So here we go. Okay, so the first example that we're gonna go over is somebody who's single earning $80,000 a year. So let's start with that, $80,000. Now, the first thing you have to understand is there's something called the standard deduction. So let's take that right off the bat. For 2019, that is gonna be $12,200. So that means $12,200 won't be taxed because of the standard deduction. So that's gonna leave us with $67,000, $67,800. So that's gonna be our total taxable amount. So here's how we're gonna calculate it. So the first thing we're gonna need to look at is the tax brackets. So I'm gonna list them out and show you basically the long way to do your tax brackets and what your tax liability will be. So 10% is gonna be the first tax bracket, and that is from $0 to $9,700. So the way that we're gonna do that is quite simply 10%, multiply that by that full $9,700, that's $970. So the first $9,700 of this $67,800 is taxed at 10%, giving us a tax liability of $970. The next tax bracket is gonna be the 12% tax bracket. So that's gonna be from $9,701, $9,701, all the way to $39,475, $39,475. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna take $39,475 and we're gonna subtract $9,700. So it's gonna give us $29,775. So that $29,775, I'll write it right here, $29,775. And we're gonna multiply that by that 12%, and that is gonna give us $3,573. Now the next tax bracket is the 22% tax bracket. So let me write that over here. And that is gonna go from $39,476 to $84,200. But we're only being taxed on this $67,800. So that's what we're gonna write in. So we're going to essentially take $67,800 and we're gonna subtract this number right here because we've already calculated the taxes on that portion. So it's $67,800 minus the $39,475, and that is going to equal $28,325, and that's supposed to be a 7 right there, not a 5. So that's $28,325. So now we have to take that number and multiply it by 22%. So that's 22%. Multiply that. So it's, if you're doing it on a calculator, if you don't know how to do it, just do 0.22. That's going to be your percent. 0.22 times 28,325. So that's times 0.22. And that's going to give us $6,231.50, which we can round to 62.32. Let me write that out for you. So it's $6,231.50. And we can round that off to $6,232. So let's add these three numbers up. We're gonna add 970, this 3,573, and this $6,232 equals $10,775. So now let's figure out how it's gonna look if we save 10%. So it's gonna be $8,000 because 10% of $80,000 is $8,000. So let's say that we're going to save 10% into our 401k. Now our 401k is going to be pre-tax dollars, so it's going to bring down our tax liability. So how do we figure that out? So we know that that highest tax bracket, the 22% right there, is going to be for the entire amount of this $28,325. So we can take that $8,000, because again, we know this tax bracket's where we're at. So 8,000 times 0.22 or 22%, and that is going to equal $1,760. So if this was our original tax liability of $10,775, but now we're saving 10%, so it's going to reduce our overall tax liability by $1,760. So let's subtract that, $1,760. So that is going to be $9,015 now. So if we take this $1,760 and divide it by $10,775, that's going to show us the percent that we're reducing it by. So the math works out to 16%. So we've reduced our taxes by 16%, and we've saved 10% into our 401k. So that's quite a difference. Now, it's not always going to be the same because of our progressive tax brackets. What that means is every tax bracket's a little different. So if you're in the 12% tax bracket, it's not going to be 16%. It's going to be less, but it's still going to have a really positive impact, not only on your savings, but also to reduce your taxes. So that was an example of how you take someone who has $80,000 a year in income, showing the standard deductions, and then saving into the 401k, how that kind of changes the tax situation and puts a little bit more money back in your pocket while still saving for your future into your 401k retirement plan at work. Of course, it's going to work with any retirement plan that's pre-tax, not just your 401k. You can use it into a traditional IRA, but that's how you reduce your taxes using the tax brackets. So now let's take a look at the IRS Form W-4. Now we're going to do the same filing status, same income limit, same savings amount. The results are going to be the same, but I want you to see how it will affect your IRS Form W-4 and also your tax liability. And this is going to make it a little bit quicker. If you just want to know how much your taxes are going to be reduced and how it will affect your paycheck. So this is the IRS Form W-4 online calculator for 2019. So let's go ahead and fill it out just like we had in our example. We're going to click off single. Of course, check off whatever filing status you are. And we're going to click no dependents, or no one can claim us as a dependent. And then right there in the middle, you can see contributing to your 401k. We're going to go ahead and check it off. And then I'm just going to zoom down to the bottom and click continue. Of course, if you have any other credits or deductions, go ahead and fill them out. But we're just going to talk about the 401k, or show how the 401k will affect your taxes. So we're going to still earn $80,000 a year, and we have no bonuses. And then we're going to save our $8,000, which is our 10%. So we're going to put 0 for the withholdings, 0 for the withholdings. The only number we're looking for is the total tax liability. So it doesn't matter what you put for these two line items here. Now, if you're filling it out for yourself, you have to go look at your pay stub to figure out how much is withheld year to date to make those adjustments. But for this example, I'm just going to show you how the total tax liability is going to be affected. So we can change this to twice a month. Again, that's not going to affect anything. Now, right in the middle there, you can see the standard deduction of $12,200 that I mentioned previously. That's for a single filer. Click continue, and there you go. Total tax liability for 2019 is $9,020. Now, in our mathematical example, it was $9,015. Looks like there's some sort of a rounding difference, but nothing to lose sleep over. So it's $9,020. So if you wanted to see, you can go right back through it and start over. Go through the exact same example, single, no, click continue. And in this side, we won't put anything for the 401k. And you'll see the same answer that we had before, $80,000. And we will put 0 for the bonuses, 0 for withholdings. And we can click continue at the very bottom, continue again. And we have that $10,780, again, a rounding error. In our math, we got $10,775. So it's extremely close, again, a rounding error. So 2019 is $10,780. So that was two different ways to figuring out how your tax liability will be affected, or how do you lower it using your 401k retirement plan at work. And if you're also a little bit uncomfortable or scared or apprehensive, whatever, about saving into the 401k because you think that your paycheck will be affected too much, this is how you can figure it out before you make those changes. So hopefully you can start saving into your 401k or increase your contributions to save more in taxes and just do better for yourself financially. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and leave your comments down at the bottom.